from Nigerians. Some see it as a breath of fresh air, while others question its viability. We will be discussing the implications of the ADC's rise, its potential impact on the 2027 election, and what it means for Nigeria's democratic future. Joining me in the studio is a governorship aspirant in the 2023 Benue State governorship election and the head of the Atiku Okowa presidential campaign for northern states, Chile Igboawa. He was also a former lawmaker in the 6th National Assembly. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
Well, we have seen the African Democratic Congress now emerging as the party of the coalition, that's the opposition coalition. But how does this have a semblance of the credible alternative Nigerians seek?
Well, thank you very much, and good evening, viewers. The party ADC, of course, is an existing party. What we are doing as the coalition is to completely rebrand that party, to assume the image that we desire. And so what it is now may not completely disclose what will come out in the end. But even so, if you look at the manifesto and the constitution of the ADC, even though it has been a largely silent party, you will see that it's remarkably better than most of the big parties that you know. But that notwithstanding, we are going to completely rebrand it. That is part of what we have agreed. So it is going to come out as that party that Nigerians have been waiting for.
And I'm sure you have been following, the narrative that has followed the adoption of the ADC now as the new coalition opposition. Some say it's like putting old wines in a new bottle, same sour taste, the same people, the same politicians. Some of them have been at the helm of affairs before and now out of government, deciding to form a political party. But now we'll narrow it down to the key people now within this whole coalition. I'll start with Atiku Abubakar. He has contested elections several times, indicated his interest, to form a coalition, go with the coalition, even against the interests of his party, the People's Democratic Party. And we also have Rotimi Amechi, Peter Obi, Nasir Rufai. We've seen Rauf Aregbesola. We've also seen former President of the Senate, David Mark. These men are not small politicians. They've all been at the scene for a very long time. And that's why Nigerians are saying, do they really offer any better alternative? Or is it just their dislike for perhaps President Bola Tinubu?
I'd like to clarify that the narrative about the principal idea being that of dislodging Tinubu is incorrect. That's not the principal idea. Tinubu just happens to be the dramatic personnel who is setting the government. But the coalition has looked at a lot of issues, how that our nation has not been going the right direction for many years. And the idea is to correct it. The full, menu is still in the making. It's in the cooking. We have not completely put it together. But because of the interest that has been generated, people are making a lot of comments and opinions. Yes, some of the opinions are helpful because they align with what we're already trying to do. Most of the literature that we have on ground to rebrand that party. So it's not the faces you see, because if you begin to quote the list of those who are in that party, you'll be surprised.
Okay, then let's talk about the faces.
Those are just a few there.
Let's talk about the faces we see. Atiku Abubakar, he was vice president to President Olusegun Obasanjo between 1999 and 2007. He has contested the presidential election 3 times in 2007, 2011, 2023. Some say he will still contest again on the platform of the African Democratic Congress, and is also believed to be highly influential. He seems to be the one in the driver's seat. What's your own view about Atiku Abubakar's chances? Because you were also his campaign manager in the northern states at the last election. Don't you think he's going to muzzle his way through and grab that ticket again? Because he also once said he has never lost primary elections.
Well, let me say that one of the issues that have been put at the back seat in the coalition is the issue of personal ambitions. Since we started, it has always been a reminder to everybody that put your ambition behind. Let us face the issue of the challenges that are facing Nigeria. These challenges are existential challenges, and it doesn't have to be about the individual ambition. Yes, Atiku is a prominent politician, there's no question, and you have mentioned the names of other prominent politicians too. But the fact is that one of the traditions that we intend to introduce through the ADC is to ensure internal party democracy. So if he desires to contest elections, he will have to go to the primaries. And it's left for Nigerians, particularly the members of the ADC, to decide who will be their candidate. So there's no muzzling, because it is not going to be an imposition. That is one particular issue that we have deliberated over and again, that this party must show a difference, but not being a party that imposes candidates on the people. It must obey its own constitution, it must obey its rules and its guidelines. So there should be no fear about anyone muzzling anybody.
I listened to a member of the coalition now, who probably has not left the Labour Party, but he's a member of the coalition. That's Baba Ahmed Detsi. Talking about Atiku and his influence, saying that, also recalling one PDP presidential primary election that was held in Port Harcourt, the way Atiku was able to buy his way through, and even envisaging that we might see a reenactment of this, because these politicians are believed to be desperate. This concern was shared not by me, not by people outside, but by somebody in the coalition.
I think that he has the right to his own opinion, but I can assure you that there will be no muzzling. There will be internal democracy in the ADC. It is one of the basic principles that we intend to, strongly hold on to make a difference. So the idea of the fact that somebody has been successful at several primaries before does not necessarily arise, because if the people go and say he's the one, so be it. But he's not the only prominent. You mentioned several names. They are there. The Peter Obis are there, and others too. Some who have not even come up.
Some people are even saying that,
Amechi is also there.
The emergence of former Senate President David Mark as the interim national chairman of the ADC may just be a walk in the park for Atiku Abubakar to clinch the presidential ticket of the ADC. These men have come a long way. They have a good relationship. He also coordinated the PDP primaries that gave Atiku the ticket in 2023.
It is not going to be by appointment. The ADC will not appoint a presidential candidate. So the chairman of the party does not have the right to appoint someone as a candidate. And I think by political experience, if somebody were afraid of, chances of emerging as a candidate, I think Atiku should be opposing the chairman coming from the north. Because that already puts aside, if you bring your national chairman from the north, does it mean therefore that you are thinking that the candidate should come from the south? He has not opposed it, because the way we are proceeding is to ensure that we take the right path, we are lawful and we are democratic, so that in the end, what comes out is what the people decide. And we're very conscious about population demographics in Nigeria. So it's not a matter of the faces we are seeing now. The majority of the people in this party are going to be young people who have developed wonderful policies for population demographics. The women who outnumber the men in Nigeria, the youth who outnumber everybody in Nigeria. So those are the people who are going to make the decisions, not the faces that you are seeing. I also include myself among the group of X this and X that.
And some people have even said the people in the ADC are aggrieved politicians. What's your grievance if indeed you are aggrieved?
Yes, I'm aggrieved because the party that I belong to was not obeying its own constitutional rules.
That's the People's Democratic Party?
Yes, and I've just, it's just now that I'm moving that I'll resign. I'm a member of the National Discipline Committee of the PDP. And I can tell you on authority that we did not make any efforts to agree that we should install discipline in the party. So I will not belong to an organization that willfully agrees to be indisciplined. I mean, there are issues that even people outside have cried their heads out. Why are you allowing these things to happen to you in that party? And we know that the scheming inside does not allow you to install that discipline. So that I can say that's my grievance. I have been a beneficiary of the PDP. I won my first election to the National Assembly on the platform of the PDP. I served as Deputy Chief of Staff and Advisor, still on PDP. It was also through PDP that I was appointed the Chief Ombudsman of Nigeria. So okay. I would say I have gained something. But nonetheless, I mean, if you are in a place and what is happening does not agree with your principles in life, you should seek your way out. So grievances, when people say grievances, sometimes they tend to think about those who have lost elections. How many people have lost elections in the PDP? So, and those who are coming from Labour Party, those who are coming from APC, APC has won election, and members are there. Only a few people lost election that are talking about being in the coalition. So grievances may be genuine and honorable.
Maybe I should help make a sense of what they are referring to as grievance. Of course, we know Atiku lost election to President Bola Tinubu. Peter Obi, the same thing. They say if you look at Rotimi Amechi, he lost the primary election and has been bitter since then, refused to return fully to the fold of the All Progressives Congress. Nasir Rufai, for example, campaigned for the president and was nominated as minister, but fails to, pass Senate screening for some undisclosed or classified security report. These are some of the grievances that people are talking about. How will they now manage their bitterness and all of these grievances and then be able to, coalesce into this ADC and put, like you said, personal ambitions behind and national interest first? Because these men have big political ambitions.
Yeah, I would not be a spokesman for individuals. But if we recall, Rufai was virtually begged on the screens by Asiwaju to work with him.
We remember
he refused. And he had to persuade him and say, if you don't agree to work with me, I'm going to walk down this podium. I will not do this campaign again. So it's not as if he was a desperate man looking for ministerial appointment. He has been minister before. So that couldn't be the reason why he is bitter. There are reasons that people are bitter. The APC government in power now is, acting in a manner that does not give us, the spirit of unity. Very divisive policies that the government is pursuing. So the bitterness and the grievances are not just by these faces you are seeing. The grievances coming from the followers who are at the back are telling you, look, if this is what you gave us, we can't accept you. And if you accept what is going on, then we cannot line up behind you again, because it means you don't have our interests at heart. So it's not a matter of personal grievances, but grievances of misgovernance. We are having serious security problems. And one would expect that a serious government should declare a state of emergency on insecurity and channel resources sufficiently and the timetable that shows you that, okay, we can now say in 2 months we will secure out of maybe the 10 states that are under stress, we can secure 2 every month, and that by 5 months we have finished with insecurity in Nigeria. We have not seen anything like that. We have seen funds being channeled to, to projects that are not a priority. We have 70% of our population as farmers. Farmers cannot go to the farm. And that's why we're beginning to experience, food insecurity already.
Some people,
so these are the issues.
Yeah, these are the issues indeed. But some people will say it did not really start today. It started when some of these actors, even in the coalition, were also in the government, where they had the opportunity to also correct some of these wrongs. And then now everyone is maybe screaming and pointing fingers and, refusing to take blame. We know that the government of the day, the primary responsibility is the protection of lives and property. But these men who are now pointing fingers from the ADC, are they qualified to even point fingers?
The issue is that ADC is not going to be based on personalities. What we have noticed is in the past now 10 years, the APC government, which has been in power, does not have a manifesto or a constitution that can control the government.
There's a renewed
If you just wake up and you hear that national chairman has resigned and tell you stories, he's sick or something for hearings and things like that, there is no democracy there. And then the party is not in any way having any control. When we had political parties in Nigeria, that was when national chairman could invite the president, come over, what we're hearing, we don't like it. Now is the president who pushes national chairman of parties around, who pushes officials of parties around. It is state governors who push, party officials. That should not be the case. Those are some of the things we intend to correct, so that you have a party that has control. It's like you appoint somebody and you don't have control. It doesn't happen. We don't have even traditional society. You have kingmakers who make kings. Kings don't become kingmakers. They remain kings. So when you have a situation where you elect somebody, you say president is there, he becomes the leader of the party. How? How? Because he's not a kingmaker. He's a king. So those are the long-standing tradition. We are going to correct that. Those are the grievances we're talking about.
Okay, then let's move on now. We still have to talk about the faces pushing this coalition, the faces we are seeing in the ADC, because whether we agree or not, these are the people that Nigerians will line up behind. These are the choices available for Nigerians. Now, Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra, said, though yet to resign officially from the Labour Party, he lost election when he was on the same ticket with Atiku Abubakar as his running mate. He also lost the 2023 presidential election, got about 6.1 million votes. That was a lot. He's believed to be the leader of the obedient movement. Yes. That's a political pressure group that is really huge. Now, what we're hearing from this group, the body language, their disposition is that Peter Obi will not settle for less. It's either he gets the presidential ticket or they are not part of this arrangement.
Well, the issue is that I told you sometimes when you perceive the aroma from the kitchen, you can condemn the meal that this meal is not going to be good. But you'll be surprised that when it's served at the dining table, you find out it's a beautiful meal. Some of those who are saying those things are not properly informed about what is going on. We've been working on this project for nearly 2 years. So those of us who have been on it for a year, 3 months or something like that, we know what is going on there, but it's not yet cooked enough to be served on the table. The only time that most people, the majority, will have the information is when we do the service. What was done a few days ago was just the unveiling of the party. By the time we do the proper launching, we will now expose a lot of the information that people need to know. And it's because they don't have that information at their disposal. That's why they are being apprehensive. If you go to an election and you expect that I must win, then you are not a Democrat. But if you go to an election and you are unfairly, schemed out, you should be upset. And I've assured you that by the rules we are developing, by the constitution that will come out in the end, we are going to have a party that respects internal democracy, such that you yourself, the obedience, they will line up there and vote for him too. So if you go to...
that's if they are members of the party, because it's only registered members.
I'm assuring you there will be registered members. Peter Obi simply has a few issues he's still doing. He has sponsored some candidates in the Labour Party. That's why he just wants to give them some backing. We are aware of those, just like Rufai too, is because he's sponsoring some candidates in his present party, the SDP. Other than that, they are fully members of the ADC. They started from the beginning, they are still here, and I can assure you that as late as today, some of them were debating together as late as today, Sunday, as I'm talking to you, so they are part of us fully, but they have obligations to ensure they see through their candidates at elections.
Let's look at that.
I'm sure that the candidates will be happy that their principals are part of the coalition and now the ADC.
Yeah, you just mentioned Nasir El-Rufai, former governor of Kaduna State, former FCT minister. Well, some people say his legacy as governor was quite controversial. Of course, we know the achievements in infrastructure and other areas, but in terms of peaceful coexistence, some people had their issues with that. Nominated as minister, but dropped, and he could not also deliver majority vote for his party in Kaduna State. So what value does he bring to the table? Because they say, I may be wrong, but some people, political observers say, with the rise of Governor Obasani, it seems like Nasir El-Rufai has lost political influence in his state. And his state is one of those with, the highest number of registered voters in northern Nigeria. What value will this man bring to the table?
I think I will continue to emphasize. If we look at the election results for Kaduna State, how many votes did APC get? How many did PDP get? Rufai was in APC.
Indeed.
So if we look at the number of votes that PDP got, which were very close, the election was hotly contested, and in fact, those of us in the PDP still believe that that election was won by PDP. But we are lawful
10,000 or so.
10,000
naira.
10,000 votes.
Very
so if you
margin.
have 10,000 votes and you have an Rufai coming in, however unpopular he is, I think it would be very discautious to say that he cannot muster 10,000 votes or even 20. And so if he can bring 20,000 votes, we'll be good to go. Well, so forget about him just as a person. He has value. The value may have diminished. But nonetheless, we already have something on ground which puts us in a winning position.
Speaking about diminishing value, I want to talk about Rotimi Amechi, former Minister of Transportation, former governor of Rivers State, but he also could not deliver the states for his party. It took someone else from another party to deliver, and he has also failed to deliver his state in 3 successive elections. That I'm talking about Rivers State. In 2015, he did not deliver. In 2019, he also failed to deliver. Same with 2023 because he supported a different candidate when he lost that election.
Yeah, you see, in politics, it is not all the time that the interests are linear all through. They may be positive as you draw the line, and then they will change to negative as you go forward.
But these are antecedents that would also determine possible outcomes.
That's what I'm coming to. I'm saying that, yes, President Tinubu won the presidential election in Rivers State, isn't it? PDP won the governorship and majority of seats, both in the state and the National Assembly. So again, it's a matter of 2 political parties. Now, when we continue to hold individuals have single votes. They have a followership. But remember too that among their followership, you also have other people of interest who, if they say, look, I'm no longer here, those votes are gone. So you have maybe in that order, you have the person at the top. Maybe directly behind him, you have 10 people who are now giving him the votes. If 6 of them pull out, he is nobody up there. You just fall down because the ladder has been pulled down from under his feet. So let us not emphasize as if it's that single person who makes the votes. No. He makes the votes along with the support.
His influence. That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
His influence. I think, they are also, again, within the ADC, we're hearing different commentaries from every corner. Some people are saying, oh, the ticket should be zoned to the south. I know you're not yet at that bridge, but these conversations are beginning to come up. Some say, well, if it is zoned to the south, then who will it be? We know who the frontliners or the front runners are. If it is to the south, then it will likely be Peter Obi against an Amechi, or if it is to the north, perhaps an Atiku clinches the ticket. Now, who will be the choice for VP? That's what a lot of people are concerned about. Peter Obi left the PDP when it was clear to him that he may not win the presidential election at the presidential primary ticket, and also may not be picked as vice president. That's why he left. It might be deja vu again, because again they say he may not have that spending power, and money is a significant factor in politics. So if, for instance, an Atiku, assuming but not conceding, an Atiku wins the ticket, he may just look elsewhere to somebody who probably has spending power like Rotimi Amechi. So money now will play a factor and would further cause crisis within the ADC, just like what happened in the PDP.
I do not have sufficient information on the depth of their pockets. That's between Peter Obi and
no, but we know everyone knows
so,
Peter Obi.
As a lawyer, I cannot make opinion on what I have no information. I know that Peter Obi is not poor.
Indeed.
Just like Amechi is not poor. But as to how deep their pockets are, I cannot say.
How willing they are to spend.
That's another issue. If it's a matter of willingness to spend, you can inject willingness into somebody. Somebody can be stimulated to spend if he sees that the expenditure is for good. So if Peter Obi has money and it's only the willingness to spend that is a problem, then maybe perhaps this is the project that we inject in him, the willingness to spend, who knows. So I wouldn't take it in terms of money. And again, let me just put this across. that as much as possible we intend to discourage money politics in the ADC. It is one of the main, we have a lot of projects lined up. We intend to discourage money because we're talking about youth here. If we say somebody should come and buy a phone for 50 million, you have already sent the youth out. How many youths can afford the 50 million? So I told you we're conscious about the population demographics. And we're not going to have a huge chunk of our party members, disqualified simply on account that they don't have the money. If they have the brains, why not? Those who have made, discoveries and inventions, it's not because they had the money. The money came after they made the inventions.
Indeed.
So we're going to ensure that people are not simply disqualified or disallowed from participation on the grounds that they don't have sufficient money.
All right, then, and Nigerians will also be watching to hold it to account. But in 30 seconds, quickly now before we go, when this administration came on board, the President Bola Tinubu's administration, they came with a lot of reforms. We saw the removal of fuel subsidy that virtually all candidates campaigned that they were going to remove subsidy. We've seen reforms like, the unification of the exchange rate, most recently the tax reforms. What's your own view of all of these reforms? Are they in good faith, or do you quarrel with the management and probably the process of their implementation?
Thank you very much for answering part of the question for me. I support a removal of fuel subsidy as a person, but not in the manner it is being managed. First of all, nobody has had, the sense of duty to tell Nigerians that this is what we have realized from the removal of fuel subsidy, and this is how we're channeling it.
No, well, because that is being said at FAC, where we see that governors are getting more monies, and they have also confirmed that. You take a policy of that magnitude. You must have a program that that reduces the hardship. It's not a matter of sharing money at FAC. I attended several FAC. I was Permanent Secretary of Finance and Economic Planning for 8 years, so I attended several FAC meetings. So it's not for you to put money at FAC, but it is not FAC that removed the fuel subsidy. The government that removed the fuel subsidy should have a program to alleviate the hardships that have been caused. All right.
Now the issue of tax reform, yes, I've read part of it. At the time it was in contention, and I know that in the end, if it's properly managed, it may be good. But you don't emphasize taxes when your people are hungry. And you should first improve the earning power of the people before you tax them.
Yeah, we need to go. The government says that is pro-poor and pro-development. Well, that's all on the program today. You can watch this episode again on TVC News YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you for watching. I am Femi Akonde. See you next time.